It's not the paint I see. It's the canvas.
What?
You did that exposure piece on the famous Janet Williams. Caused quite a controversy. Enough of a controversy that the next time she went out, someone assassinated her in the middle of a crowd. Panic ensued. 15 people didn't come home that day. And it all started with a little lie to get a little job. You know the story very well.
Welcome, everyone, to another podcast. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you being here and watching these episodes, and hope many of you were subscribed. We have a very special actress here. Now, what does a career in genetic engineering teach you about human nature, about storytelling, about acting? Today, I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by one of the most fascinating and unique voices in independent film right now, the brilliant Deana DiCosimo. Her story isn't your typical Hollywood tale. Imagine spending not just a few years, but 3 decades as a distinguished genetic engineer and biotech project manager. Now, imagine walking away from that to answer a completely different call, the call to act. Amazing. And not just act, but to immediately land a leading role as the antagonist in the new critically buzzed about lo-fi sci-fi film Between Two Waves. Raised in Pensacola and armed with advanced degrees from Penn State and Florida State, Deena brings a world of scientific rigor and a unique perspective to the screen. She's made that astonishing leap from the lab to the limelight, and she's here to tell us all about it. Deena, a huge welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's really fantastic. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. So your leap from a 30-year career in genetic engineering to acting is incredible. Well, what was the defining moment that made you say, I have to do this? And how did you reconcile leaving one established identity for such an uncertain new path?
Well, it sounds like a big leap, and it is a big difference. But what enabled me to do that really was security. I mean, I loved acting when I was in high school, but I didn't see any path that was solid enough for me. Some people can take these risks and not really know what's coming along, and other people cannot. I am not a risk taker about many things. And so after this great career, something very solid, more traditional type career, I actually looked around and realized I could afford to do anything I wanted to do and not necessarily what I felt like I had to do. And that's when the sparks of acting that I kind of brushed away since the 80s came back, and I decided to just do it. One thing that was an extra push was that while I loved my career so much about it, it was getting a little stale. The management I was doing was getting further and further and further away from science, which I really loved. And so then during COVID, a lot of people made a lot of changes to their lives during COVID. And I just wasn't in love with it anymore. And then I ended up consulting in the same thing. And that was even worse because you're not really part of a company when you're consulting. Lucrative, but not fun. And so that was even more motivation to just do it, to just jump in there. That's what I did.
What else? What exactly is genetic engineering? Like, what kind of things did you do besides COVID and stuff like that?
Well, to be clear, it was the combination of genetic engineering and then management. I kind of departed from a lot of the hands-on wet work in molecular biology um, in around 2006. So I spent a good number of years in the management of science without actually doing much science. So it's not like I was genetic engineer for that whole time, but just for many, many years. So what does it, uh, what sorts of things does it entail? Is that what your question
Yeah,
was?
like what exactly was that really? Like what?
It was there's an organism and it doesn't have a gene that you want, and so you put that gene in there, or
Mm.
you are studying. I mean, some of my best work, I think, was in a cancer research lab. We were
Mm.
studying metastasis suppressor genes,
Wow.
and then their behavior there. And so you make a new version of a cell line that has certain genes in there or has the absence of certain genes. Then you see how that behavior plays out um, in various experiments. So it's genetic engineering is putting and taking out, cut and paste genes here and there. I was an excellent gene jockey.
I like
It was fun. It really
yeah.
was. Yeah. But there's many other types. That's the sort of thing I did is very specific targeted genes, changing them or doing things to them. But there's so many other areas of molecular biology that I mean, it just doesn't even scratch the surface of it.
Did
And
it entail petri dishes and
sure.
gloves and sterilized environments? Oh wow.
Yes, yes, and sometimes working with radioactive things to make your
Wow.
DNA light, not your DNA, make the DNA of the experiments light up and be detectable. So there was animal work too, which I grew less fond of, but I kind of weighed that, people dying of cancer, rats dying to study cancer, and I made my peace with it. But it is something that once I left that particular type of work, I was very relieved that I didn't have to work with animals anymore. Um, that was a very tough part. Afterwards, I ended up working mostly with microbes, and that was much easier, even though they're alive too. They're just not cute and furry.
Deena, you
Uh,
must have been a rock star in the lab.
I was pretty good. I mean, yeah, I was fine. I was very good note taker too, and so half the time when you do an experiment, sometimes people are really excited about it. They might not note everything that they did, and then when they go to repeat it, they're not really sure what they did. Just like cooking. But I didn't mess that part up. I really didn't. I was like, yeah. And anyone later on, if they needed to do an experiment, it wasn't a half-baked protocol that they were reading. It was precise. Um, it was a lot of fun. It really was, and it was pretty good. But I didn't achieve the highest academic standard there. I dropped out of graduate school and got a master's degree instead of staying in the program to get my PhD, which was what sort of the original plan. Um, but actually, in a lot of ways, that opened up more doors with people who have their PhDs. Sometimes they're pretty limited to only taking these top, very, very, very few positions, whereas somebody who can kind of not quite jack of all trades, but I had a lot of flexibility in what I did because of that choice to leave graduate school and get a master's. It was the right choice for me.
Did you ever perform one of those real life movie scenes where you dropped one of the petri dishes and your boss started yelling at you? Said, "What are you doing, Deena?"
Close, yeah. I mean, I think the worst thing like that happened was we needed to work with cholera toxin.
Oh
This was
wow.
at Penn State, and I was concerned about it. A little, reading up on what can happen and all that. So I wore. Everybody wears gloves, and you work with it in these controlled situations. But I got talked into wearing an extra set of gloves, and then I got all like hot because it was I don't and then it was slippery and wet, and I dropped this tube, or like it kind of like when like imagine you holding a grape and you like squish it and it might go flying. It was almost sort of like that, only I was trying to close it and I cut through amazingly both pairs of gloves uh, with this lid because I was forcing it so hard. I didn't want to lose this slippery little monster. And then the toxin got onto my skin and into this cut, and I
Oh
uh,
my.
was scared. I ended up going to the emergency room. The hospital, the university was also at a hospital. This was in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And so I'm there. I mean, I didn't feel anything. It didn't really hurt except it had a slight cut. And the doctor's like, well, flipping through some papers. I sure hope this doesn't develop into anything because there's no known antidote for the effects of cholera toxin. And luckily, it didn't develop into anything. Yeah, so that was my closest call. I also burned myself on
Oh.
not ice, dry ice. It's super duper cold and it's like a burn. You get a blister. Had sort of an problem there with that once or twice, but mostly things were pretty safe. There are a lot of safety protocols in place, and both of those things I didn't need to happen. I should have done things a little bit differently in both instances. So my fault.
Wow, amazing. Now you have a scientific mind. So how does it deconstruct a script and build a character? Like, is it a methodical process and does it help you memorize lines or understand a character's motivation differently than traditionally trained actors?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't have a comparison to it. I feel like I've always been rather creative, whether it's in the lab or elsewhere. And but there still is a lot of methodical behavior to it. I kind of have my methods where here's one actually for something recent. I have a certain way of laying things out on Excel spreadsheet, and then when I'm memorizing, I'm closing this up or whatever. So I have a way that's for any script that's longer than just a few lines. I'll do that with it. I'll read through it many times before I even bother putting it into any kind of format like that, and try to think about all the different angles.
Mhm.
If here's the character coming at it from this angle and that angle and that angle and that, what could the person be feeling and needing to do, and all sorts of every angle of this character. I try to do that. Just being thorough. I think that that's pretty common though among actors, and I'm a reasonably quick study, so the lines don't scare me or anything like that. I respect though that writer. I mean, a lot of people will do the lines in slightly different way, meaning totally different words. I stick to those words. I'll play it out differently here and there, but it kind of is pulling teeth to get me to change the words. Um, and actually, that's caused some problems. I've taken classes in improv, and I want to do a whole lot more of that because sometimes the director will throw you something like, "Oh, just do something," and that is not a comfort zone for me so much. I mean, I could think of some silly things to do, but I'm still not confident enough to do that really. So it's not a comfortable place for me. I like the discipline. So.
It's interesting when you first got your first script, and then you realize that. See, when you're watching a movie or a TV show, you're just enjoying it, but you don't know really what goes behind the scenes when you're actually there, and it's okay, cut, do it again, and all this stuff. It's how did you feel when you had to not only be in front of the camera, but then you hear cut, you have to have your hair done, you have to get makeup. You're like, did you know what went on behind the scenes of a movie or show or?
No, I read up on things as much as I could and watched a lot of videos on it, and then had some, acting classes. But without any experience, you don't. There's so much that you don't grasp until you're there, and things that I should have known, but just didn't really dawn on me that there's usually, I mean, smaller films or whatever, a camera. It's not like they're shooting more than one angle at a time. And so it's a scene over and over again from this perspective and that perspective. And, uh, like if the focus is on this other person in the scene with me, it doesn't matter if I go like that in the middle of in the middle of, of
Mhm,
the take or not, So I was like perfectly trying to be perfect on
mhm.
even when the camera wasn't even on me at all. And later on, I realized, well, I didn't need to worry so much about that. just dumb stuff, that I didn't realize, or like maybe there's nowhere to sit down at all, nowhere to put your backpack at all. And then you realize there's just this giant pile in a tiny area of everybody's backpack. And it just, I guess I always assumed that there would be plenty of room, and there's just not always. It's just little things like that everything off of the camera could be total chaos. Not chaos in behavior, but just junk everywhere. It's funny.
But it's fun, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, yeah. So when you did In Between Two Waves or any other project, how do you approach delivering technical or scientific jargon? Is the goal perfect accuracy or making it feel like natural speech?
Oh, making it feel like natural speech, if that's what the character is supposed to do. Yeah, in Between Two Waves, there wasn't any technical jargon that needed to take place. And I think of some other. I haven't actually done films with a bunch of technical stuff, but I think that I would have no problem with it. One that was recent. I just went to the private the private screening of it, but it hasn't gone to festivals yet. It was just last weekend, in fact, called Your Lying Eyes by Sid Buyan. That was one where it was very artistic in that he wanted characters to be rather rigid and not move a lot, not a lot of moving. So I stood there and did like over 100 lines with a teacup in my hand, looking off to the side, talking to someone, and I was not moving at all. I was just delivering the lines, and that was so weird to be. It was great. I mean, it really was amazing film, but atypical because you didn't get to feel very natural. But that's what the role called for, so that's what I did. I needed a little direction at first. He was like, "No, you're moving too much. Or, put that cup back up there," and whatever. So you just do what's needed, and I haven't needed to do very many things that were like really outside my comfort zone. Yeah.
How did you? Yeah. How did you find humanity or motivation in that character designed to be antagonist? Like, what was your key to unlocking her?
In Between Two Waves. Well, there was in the script a fair amount of backstory, and I wanted to find the arc of the character, whether that ended up on screen or not, because it doesn't always end up on screen. In fact, it often does not. It kind of did there in that film. And so that's how you can feel more deeply what the character is going through, because not everyone is 100% terrible normally, and so a lot of sadness previously in this character's previous, when she was actually, I won't give too much away from the film, but that really played out and kind of got flipped into meanness, but at least you understand where the root came from. And so that's what helped me develop the character more, even though there weren't a lot of emotions and overt, clear emotions. I felt like I can keep it at least in my eyes, the emotions there in my eyes, right? So that's kind of how I prepared.
How much is Deena is in that character?
Oh, well, it was a character that was a mother, and I am a mother, and so that part is, direct parallel. But maybe some mannerisms or a bit of feeling, but overall the character was pretty different from me. And again, I don't want to give too much away there about why it would be very much like me. Well, you said it in the beginning. It was the antagonist. It was a supporting role, and I was the antagonist, the one and only, I guess, in the film.
That's true. So you do know Deena, you entered an industry known for rejection. So, what does your audition process look like, and what's your strategy for handling the inevitable no without letting it dim your confidence?
Uh, well, I really believe it's true that a person is either right for a role or they are not right for a role. And if you're just coming into an audition, you don't have the slightest idea anything else about the film. I mean, usually for auditions, you'll get a couple of pages of something. You don't get the whole script. Normally, even if you do, you don't know really, you're not in the head of the director and casting director and all that. So it's okay with me to get a rejection. That's fine. Probably for the better. If it's not going to work out right and not going to click right with either the other characters or somebody else, then it wasn't really meant to be. So I don't really get disappointed so much with rejection. Sometimes when it's like, a couple of rounds and you're in the final couple, well, at that point that you are kind of what they're looking for. And then if you don't get it, really, now you wonder what's wrong with you. It's not just a matter of, oh, we were looking for some 6'4" guy, or no, that's silly. They wouldn't have auditioned me. So I don't find it very disappointing, and my success rate is probably average on par, maybe a little better. I mean, it's competitive, but I'm in a lucky demographic. I really am. Um, uh, Demographic meaning, an older woman. Um, there are roles out there, and they're not always nice roles. In fact, they're usually not. But you talk to younger actors and actresses, they say the same thing. Oh, the roles I get are I'm an awful person, and so it's not unique to me. But usually I'm, either a serial killer or a mean mom or a dead mean mom or a zombie mean mom. Or you catching a theme? But that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
I know I'm a nice person.
I know an actress who plays in the Darman series and had her on the program, and she's known for playing a really great mean girl. And she's not like that in real life. And so what happened is that she's telling about a story where she was in the mall with her dad, and she had an argument with him. Just then, right at that bad timing, a fan of hers comes up. Hey, I knew it! You're that mean girl. I knew it. Bad timing. But yeah. So, is there a Deena? Is there a character that you will not play, or will you play anything, even if you're a serial killer or a lady of the night or something?
Well, I wouldn't. Probably. There was one thing I had an audition for, and I was really relieved that I didn't get it. Where, sort of. I mean, at the time I was all excited about it, and then I thought about it more. I'm like, whew. Where I was going to be, if I had gotten it, older woman with a young boyfriend, like 22, and there was going to be kissing scenes, and that's just for me.
Yeah.
That's silly for me. I mean, not so. Actually, a kissing scene would be a new and peculiar thing for me. I wouldn't say no to something just on those grounds, but that is something that would be. I wouldn't love it. I don't think.
I know people in the industry, especially soap operas, and they're married, and a lot of these women who play the characters had to go to bed with whatever guy they met during the show, and you imagine just standing there watching it and saying, "Oh, I can't believe my wife or my husband is in bed with that girl, and they're not. It's just acting," and I wouldn't want that. That's not
Yeah,
something I'd
yeah.
want.
I mean, people come to terms with it, and there's fantastic performances, and you're not looking at these people thinking, "Oh my gosh, you're cheating on your spouse."
Yeah.
That's not what others feel, but I guess probably the actors themselves would. Well, I don't really know because I haven't done those sorts of parts. Yeah.
Have you taken acting lessons yet, Deena? You have to cry, you have to do emotional scenes, you have to maybe you're on drugs or meth and you have to go and destroy a house or something looking for money to buy more meth or something. Like, would you be able to do that, or would you? It takes a lot out of you, no?
Yeah, I would be able to do that sort of thing. And crying, yes. There was a short film I did, and I wasn't. I mean, I just really sat by myself and got myself to a point where I was that character, and was very sad and was crying. And they did 12 freaking takes and none of it ended up in the final cut. I brought it every time too. I wasn't like, okay, I'm cute to cry. I was like really feeling it. And same with this other person who was in the scene with me. 12 takes. Anyway, so I mean, all I gotta do is be the character. And you asked about acting classes. Yes, I've had some acting classes, but I think that what's trained me more is I didn't even know that this was an unusual thing, but practically my whole life when I'm just sitting around or whatever, people watching, getting a coffee or something, I just pretend like I'm that person, like I am the barista getting the coffee.
Mhm.
What was my morning like? Or you go to the DMV and the guy's real grouchy who's dealing with you, and you think, all
Or you have
right,
to play a Karen. You have to play a real Karen. Like,
yeah,
wow.
I could do it. I mean, you just become that person. Literally, it's empathy. It's like, can you put yourself in another person's shoes and be that person? And I've always been able to do it. Always. It's like a compulsion, even. Just here, there, and
But,
everywhere.
Deena, you're forgetting about method acting. Will you take that character home with you?
um, Not so much. I mean, I've always wondered if that makes me a bad actress, but I am able to sort of turn it on or turn it off. I mean, I need moments in time when I'm really preparing for something, but I don't need to stay in character. Once the scene is over and if someone's eating a ham sandwich, it's fine to go back and be Deena again. And then,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't do that staying in character for the whole time. It's
Yeah.
not me
It's
yet.
good that you can turn it on and off. That's a good thing. So, Deena, what do you think has been your biggest surprise or greatest challenge about how the film industry works, coming from the more predictable world of science?
Oh, yes. That's a really good question because you certainly got that right. There is more of a predictable world in science. I guess just um, boy, I don't want to insult anyone I've worked with, but there's a whole lot less um, organization for the most part on just yeah, I can't. Well,
Mm.
here's an example of something that was quite a surprise in the industry where I auditioned, I got the part, and then I realized, wait a minute, they've told me I got the part for some different film, and it's a different character in this different film. Maybe they made a mistake, and so I contacted them. Did you make a mistake? And they never got back to me, and you know
Mm.
the they had me reserve like 16 days of shoot time that there was going to be, and I was like, I can't. I tried to keep my calendar open for that, so I kept on asking when during this window is it going to be, and they just wouldn't get back to me and wouldn't get back to me, and finally, about 48 hours before shooting, I hadn't had any lines. I didn't even know it was the right film. I just sent an email that was kind of a, you know, go jump on a lake kind of thing because you got to have a little bit of self respect. But how could you not tell an actor, sure, you're busy? And then they gave me a long sob story about what went wrong. And yeah, they had some serious problems. But how could you not tell an actor if they're in the right film and give them any lines to
Mm.
have and get ready for? So granted, that was a very inexperienced filmmaker, but that sort of thing, those are the films I'm getting mostly. Partially, people who don't have a ton of experience. It's independent films, and so they don't have a team of 35 people. This is not HBO that I have experience with. And so there's a lot of stuff that's just not as tidy, I guess, as things that would be in the predictable scientific world. You have a plan, and your plan's got a plan, and everyone communicates the plan to the yeah. It is very rigorous there, and so the lackadaisical nature of film is different.
Yeah, if you ever needed to part in a movie as a genetic scientist or something, they may call on you and say, "Well, since you've already done that for 30 years, we want you to become this scientist, and you can do anything you want, and you're not making anything up because you already done it."
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there's some films where you see somebody doing something, you're like, no, you would never do that. You can't possibly do
Yeah,
that.
the reaction videos. I've seen a lot of those. Remember those ones?
What's that?
There's a YouTube series on called Breakdown, and you have these movies and the characters in the movies, and you have the real life person that does these, and he's sitting there going, "I would never do that." No, you can't do that. It's really amazing. Like when you had the skydiver do the Mission Impossible one, Tom Cruise and everything, he was going, "No, skydivers don't do that, Tom. You would have died." It's really funny. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is pretty funny but then you get nitpicky about a movie, and then it becomes no fun. So you should. And there's plenty of sci-fi out there. You should just let it like roll right over you and just enjoy the film.
Yeah, I can imagine sitting there. Someone, oh, you know how they did this scene? Oh, this is how they do it. So, shut up! I just want to watch.
Yeah,
um,
there was Sigourney Weaver in Avatar was holding this instrument way wrong. You can't.
oh
You can't.
yeah, that must have been fun.
Hold it. Gotta hold it like this.
Yeah,
Yeah. There was no.
exactly. Deena, you've trained at places like Bucks County Playhouse. What's the most valuable lesson you've taken from your training that you apply on set every time?
Oh, um, to be unapologetic, I think, and that's a real confident boost to have if you can get to that point of feeling that way. That was Joanna Tolentino, my
Mm.
instructor, who's she's a real badass and she's a fantastic actress and fantastic teacher, but just stand up for yourself and don't be a jerk or anything like that. But if someone is, have confidence, you are there because they want you there. You're the best person to be there. Don't be a mouse. Don't be all like, oh, I'm sorry, about every little thing. Just, stand up for
Hmm.
yourself. And I try to do that, once it's time to go, I'm in it to win and do the right thing. And I'm not going to be all timid.
Yeah, keep it up. Like, don't give up. And I've known a lot of that just walk away from it, and they say I've had it or whatever. It's like, no, you were so good. Just
Well,
you know.
I am in a spot that's, it's fortuitous that I don't need any of this. I can pay the bills without it, and that is a very different place to come from than I think the majority of actors. I mean, some people are, maybe born wealthy or whatever like that. They have a fallback plan if things don't work out. They can go live with their parents or something like that. Um, I was never that kind of person. We never had any money. So that's a point of luxury for me. I can ditch out of a job 48 hours before filming because no one gave me my lines. I can afford to do
Yeah.
that, but um, not everybody can.
Yeah. And what kind of things did you do at Bucks County Playhouse? Like, did you do like scenarios, scenes, mini scenes? How do you do this? And someone say, nope, Deena, you don't do it that way. So I want you to go like this, and I want you to have your hands up and go and shout as like stuff like that, or
Well, improv was probably my favorite class. There were scenes that you do in the improv, and sometimes intentional constraints on what you're doing, which is part of the like some exercises there.
Mhm.
Um, is improv isn't just walk up and do whatever you want to. There's still a lot of structure to it, and a lot of that stuff was challenging. In fact, it all was. That was a really great class. But then a lot of some other classes like acting for the camera were doing a scene multiple times, getting direction on don't do it like that. You really got to feel such and such, and you're not connecting enough with your scene partner. Connect, connect, connect. That was one of Joanna's dogmas that make people really focus on the other person, not focus on yourself. Yet you still got to do a good job yourself.
did you get along with everyone you worked with, every scene partner, or were there times you said, no, I don't want to work with them. I'd rather work with them?
I got along with people. Yeah, yeah. I can't think of any instances where I was dreading interacting with a person or outright refusing to. Definitely not. Yeah, that's all been positive experiences there. I mean, most other actors are pretty open to working with you. I mean, I guess it's just Bucks County Playhouse. It's not, Juilliard or something. So there's no um, competition. It's not competitive. And it's not a bunch of 20-year-olds. It's people across the age range.
Yeah. Wow. So I was reading a little bit about you on your actors access and all that. I noticed that you have training in firearms and self-defense. So I'm going to stay away from you. So with that, how does that physical preparedness inform a character's presence, even if you never draw a weapon on screen?
How does it connect with preparedness? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So because you have this training in firearms and self-defense, how
Hmm.
does that physical preparedness, like you're ready to when you're in a character's presence, that you're ready to, I guess, draw a gun, or if you're in a movie where you have to draw a gun, would you know, like, well, director, I know how to pull a gun. Okay, this is how you do it. I've seen your movies. You do it wrong.
um, well, actually, I guess that hasn't those skills haven't come up very much. The combat a little bit because I had to hit somebody a couple
Mm.
times. Where you do it right. You don't you don't really clobber somebody. And but for firearms, that I actually haven't had a scene where I'm utilizing a firearm. But I think I would probably just take it in stride, like any other action that you need to have. Is to just do it to the best of your ability, listen to somebody who's directing you, and know, if I mean, I don't have really advanced training. So I guess I would just try to use it to the best of my skill level.
So, I've never actually shot a gun, but like, what's the pushback? Is there an actual when you shoot a gun? Does it actually push back like this, the way that people hold it when they shoot a gun? That it just like I've heard a lot of people say, "Don't shoot a gun because suddenly it can just go like this."
Well, it does depend on, you know, what kind of gun it is.
Mm.
You do always, if you're smart, you'll brace yourself um, with the other hand normally. Well, it depends on whether, I mean, pistols, that's what you would do. But otherwise, you've got it braced enough. And I haven't shot the kinds of guns that really throw you back. I mean, there's a lot of kickback, and then when you're done, your hand is so sore
Yeah, I hear.
from just, you know, from exactly that, the recoil, and just the focus it takes. It takes a lot. Yeah,
Wow, but you're all ready for that part when you have to play a
yeah,
police
I guess so.
woman or something. You better believe it.
I'm
So
no expert. I've just had some
yeah,
training.
so acting like in especially in darker genres, like it can be taxing. So how do you protect your mental health, shed a heavy character at the end of the day, and avoid burnout?
Oh, well, I think that's actually one advantage to something I said earlier, which is that I can just step out and away from that character when I want to. It can be very, very draining, when I'm rehearsing on my own. In particular, that's where I'll go through things many, 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 many times. But then you decide I am putting this down. I will resume it later. And now, so it's like compartmentalizing it somewhere. And now I'm going to go live my life and do whatever. So you do find other things to do with your life. I mean, well, I have a life. um, and I guess it's kind of hard on set when you got another take coming up a little while later of maybe the same thing, and you got to keep up. You just keep yourself as healthy as possible with water and appropriate food, not cookies or something. And you just power through it, and it's not like a strain normally. Well, that crying over and over again sort of was, but that's exactly what I'm here for. I mean, that's exactly what I want to be doing. So it's draining at the same time, incredibly rewarding, and it's exactly what I want.
Do you have mental health supporters on? Because you should see that episode. Riley Reagan. She mentioned about one movie she was in where it got to the point where she got so where she's a scene as she's in a car because her character husband was cheating on her, and she got really upset. So she went to the car, and she was doing this thing against the steering wheel, and she said it affected her so much that they had to get mental health supporters to calm her down and everything. Did you ever have that? Do they have that on the set?
No, I have not had that on set. I have felt, sad for a while after
Mm.
some sad things happen, um, but nothing that to that extreme. No. Um, mm-mm.
So now, okay, so now going back to your identity as a scientist. So how do you balance your identity as a scientist with your new identity as an artist? Do they feel separate, or have you found a way to merge them into a unique superpower? Superpower, Super Deena.
I get a superpower that way. I do kind of keep them separate entirely. Well, I don't actually do any of the consulting so much anymore, and I'm not working at a regular company anymore. So I have, it's no problem to stay away from that. But I saw myself as that, a manager or a scientist for so long. I still do see myself that way, but as a person departs out of their career, that becomes further and further away from their identity. But I have I still feel like I have imposter syndrome with acting, where I feel like, yeah, I call myself an actress, but that feels so strange to do that. Am I really? And yeah, I got some credits, and I really am an actress. So it is hard to. I still see them as separate. I know that's probably unhealthy. I need to merge them and have that superpower, I think.
Yeah, there's no problem with that. So, how do you personally define success and fulfillment in this new chapter compared to how you defined it in your scientific career?
Mm. That's I would, yeah, well, the defining success in that career was definitely making enough money to, well, it's the traditional stuff, but defining success in acting, for me, that's getting uh, to the point of audition and getting that role and getting to be there, to be on set, or actually some theater as well. To get there. That's the defining of success. And then, of course, I'm not expecting to flub up and nosedive, fall flat on my face there. To I guess I should say, take it a step further than and say, and get through it without being the worst one in town, being with being having a performance that is acceptable to the director, and even if I hear
Yeah.
you know if I hear love it, that's great, that would be nice. But the success would be to move somebody. And I've gotten there a few times, where afterwards, and people don't talk to you a whole lot on set
Hmm.
sometimes, but to get there and really feel like you've done it, you've gone above and beyond.
Yeah. So, do you know what kind of roles or stories are you burning to tell next? Like, are you actively looking for projects at the intersection of science and drama?
That would really cut myself off a lot. There aren't a lot of those. There aren't a lot of roles in general. Um, and so, I mean, that would be a dream job. I have interviewed, auditioned for one where I was a forensic detective type thing, and there was a lot of jargon there, which was written all wrong, but I said it wrong because you're supposed to.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, who wrote that? But I don't want to pigeon myself into a hole of just doing some sort of intersection of science and something else, with acting. But it would be great to have some roles like that. I feel like I'm very natural in that kind of a setting. But the other things, the moms, the attorneys, or whatever, I feel you're becoming that person. So that person could be almost anyone, and you embrace it.
What are your thoughts? I'm just gonna put this. I didn't plan to ask this, but I'm gonna ask you because maybe you have the answer and you're a genetic scientist and all this firearms. So, what do you think of AI in film? Like, would you sell your image so that they can um, make you into whatever character they want, and yet you're not even in there, it's just your image? What do you think of AI? Is that something you
I don't like it.
Hmm.
I'm not in favor of it. I mean, I guess they did a little of it in Star Wars when Carrie Fisher died, but that's a different, you know, that was a need. It's not needed for the most part, and I don't like it. I can't. I mean, it's gonna come. It's here. There's no avoiding it, but it doesn't float my boat. And no, I wouldn't want to sell my image for that.
So you're telling me that you, if you were offered a lot of money and said, okay, Deena, we want you to play Audrey Hepburn and we want you to act with Jimmy Stewart, you wouldn't do that?
It's easy to sit here and say no because I don't really like the AI.
I
Um,
know.
and,
But you miss out on 500,000. How about $1 million too?
oh my God, you're making me put a price on
I
it.
know, I know. It's hard. I know it's not a fair question, but I love to hear what people say about it.
I would have to need that money, I guess. I would try to put if I did agree to something like that, I would try to put as many restrictions on it as possible. Things like let it be known that this is AI. Don't hide
Mhm.
that fact. And it's for this production and only this production and not something else.
Good for you. Yeah, yeah. That's
Those
awesome.
would be some stipulations that would bring comfort to me, and then I accept my $1 million. So yeah, maybe.
Well, how about in real life now? You got specific directors or actors you dream of collaborating with who you feel would complement your unique perspective and skills?
Well, I mean, there's so many people I would just love to work with, and I would hope that what I bring to the table would complement
Mhm.
them. But I'm not, you know, uh, I don't know. I'm way below them. I think that in terms of actresses, someone who's just amazing is Viola Davis. Um, you know, I just think she's really powerful. There's just so many uh, directors. I love Sam Mendes's work,
Mm.
Guillermo del Toro. I,
Oh,
uh,
good one. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah, you never know. It could be someone that you didn't even list off there. It could be someone like, oh, I didn't think of ever working with you, but I can't believe I'm get to do it. That's good when you get a chance to work alongside Liam Neeson or something.
oh my gosh, yes. Oh, I'd love to work with Willem Dafoe too. I figure I
Yeah,
could
yeah.
play his sister. I've got his cheekbones. Maybe I could be. Maybe
Yeah. Oh yeah,
they haven't called me about any of that yet.
definitely. Yeah. So what's your frankest piece? Okay, somebody comes up to you and says, Deena, I love your acting, whatever. What is the piece of advice to someone with an established career who's terrified to make a leap into pursuing a long held artistic dream?
Hmm. I would tell that person, you said Frank, I think advice is evaluate your risk tolerance level, just like investing. If you are gonna ruin your psyche because you're so worried about, where the money's coming from, might not be for you. And I know that that might sound like a downer to just be
Mm,
focusing on money, but gosh, you got to put food on the table, and gosh, you got to worry about your future. Um, so that would be one of the first things is risk level, and then have the person ask themselves if this is really something that they get some joy out of. Because if it's just something they decided a long time ago they want to do, and then they're going to do it, even if they can't handle the risk, if they don't love it, it's not going to show through in
mm,
good performances or anything. Yeah, love it and make it and ask if it's possible for you, because a lot of people don't. I mean, there's not a lot of money in this for a very long time, and not that many people truly succeed like see the movie stars or whatever.
Did you have any pushback? I'm talking about pushback again from family who said, "Why are you doing that? Why do you want to get into acting? You're
No,
doing like I'm telling people that my daughter or whatever is a genetic scientist, and I tell them you're an actress now. Like, what the hell?
it's always been positive, and
Oh, really?
think it's great and very supportive. My family
That's
and friends or whatever. Just I was like,
great to
wow,
have encouraging friends and family like that. Yeah.
yeah.
Like I asked one guy, and I asked the same question. He goes, "Don't."
Oh, don't
Yeah.
ask the question.
He
Oh.
said, "Don't," because he had pushback and stuff. And anyway, I don't know, but
Well, if
yeah,
I had other people depending on me, and I mean, financially, and this acting was going to have to support them financially, I wouldn't do it. I would feel that that is too selfish. You know, I don't want to
mm,
bring. It's one thing to bring yourself down, but if you're going to bring other people down as well, that wouldn't sit right with me personally.
wow. Well, thank you, Deena, for being on the podcast. Where do you see this unique path taking you over the next 5 years? What legacy do you hope to build as an artist?
Mm, legacy. Well, I think I haven't thought about that. I want to have more roles as a badass. I'd like to be a badass that people are sort of afraid of. You know, I think that that's something I can do pretty well, convincingly, and uh, that would be great if people, you know, like saw me in the street and thought I'm really a mean person when I'm not. You know, that would be fun. I think, as long as they're not actually crazy.
Yeah, yeah. There's this show, I think Chicago Fire, whatever. There's one of these older policewomen named Trudy. Everyone loves Trudy because she's badass. She's mean. She's not afraid of anything. So that's the kind of character that it's got to be women empowerment.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, that would be fun.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Dean. I really appreciate this. You really made my evening by being here and telling me it's great. I loved it. Thank you so much for grazing our stages here on Stage
Thank you so
Podcast.
much,
Thank you
Chris,
so
for
much.
having me. It's been
You're very
really
welcome.
fantastic.
I hope you
Well,
were comfortable with my questions. I mean, I love doing this.
yeah, yeah, I loved it too. I don't think I answered everything real smoothly,
I love it. I loved
but
it. I loved it. Thank you
so
so
I
much.
mean, are we? Can I ask some questions, like logistical questions, or we're a little bit done with the interview, or
You wanted to ask some questions to me?
yeah. Well, no, I
Okay,
mean,
sure.
just well,
Yeah, go ahead.
just like well, what's the process here? Is it you're gonna edit some things and it'll end up on your channel, right? Isn't
Yeah, I
that what?
edit down to 5 minutes and then no, just kidding. No, no editing on this one. This is beautiful stuff. This is great. I'm just gonna put the whole thing in. Or is there
Okay.
anything you wanted to remove? Like,
No, no, no. I mean, nothing in particular. I kind of stumbled through some stuff, but no, that's fine. I guess I'm used to lots of takes. I never really know whatever really interviews me.
oh, I see. Okay, so let's do that first question again. Okay, let's.
Uh, I don't know.
No, no, you got to do it this way. Answer the question like this.
But I was wondering about you though. So like, are you in, where are you? Canada?
I am in Toronto, Canada. Yep.
Okay.
And I've been doing this podcast for 4 years, almost at 350 episodes, and I love it. And remember the questions I asked you, being a genetic scientist, and all, do you usually take that in your acting, whatever? So with this, being able to talk to people and interview people and just be normal with people, it helps me take it out into the real world and talk to people and
Yeah,
come out of my shell and makes me more confident. So I'm so
that's
happy I'm doing this. Yeah.
that's good. So I yeah, I really appreciate it, and I think you're doing a great job with all the different questions you ask. I've seen some of your past work. It's really
Thank you so much.
interesting.
Yeah. I know that there's a little trepidation though with some of the questions, but I think you got over it. I think you're fine.
Okay, all right,
That's fine.
all right. Well, thanks very much. Have a great
You're very
evening.
welcome. Thank you, Deena. I really appreciate it. So I'm not think within a few weeks anyway we'll have this on the platform for you.
All right, that sounds great.
Sounds good.
Wonderful.
Okay, hold on. Okay, everyone, we're leaving. We're gonna end the stream. Thank you, Deena. 1 second.
Bye bye.